One of the things that Taylor Jenkins talked to us about, Richard, in what he feels like his group learned. Edwards fires it down.
He's really developed his game. Look at that pass. I mean, it's like the Globetrotters out here. Jordan Poole. Jaylen Brown kicks it out. Smart fakes. Inside. Tatum spins, but he took it in. Celtics are up by one.
This is nothing but that sports talk.
Yeah, the NBA playoffs is just heating up. As I welcome to this episode, nothing but that sports talk. Rafiq Lou is on, Ryan Walker, and we got Bally Sports Brand Scooby Robinson joined the show. Welcome aboard, gentlemen.
What's up, Chief?
How you feel?
Now, Brendan, I watched your episode with Kelsey Nicole Nelson where you talked about all the playoff series that happened briefly the past couple of games, which is in all the games to start off this enormous playoff run, which was highlighted by a Jason Tatum game winner, an upset Minnesota Timberwolves victory over the Memphis Grizzlies, and of course the obvious blowout wins with the Denver Nuggets being down 2-0 to the Golden State Warriors. The Raptors trailing 2-0 to defeat the Philadelphia 76ers. So James Harden and Joel Embiid has been phenomenally established these first two games. They just well together. But what really made it stand out was that dude Tyrese Maxey. But starting up with the Philadelphia 76ers, Brendan, I want to get your thoughts on everything that's happening with that series and how the team's gelled.
I really have liked how Philly has found a way to contain Pascal Siakam, if there's such a phrase. Tobias Harris has definitely been employed to do that. And in game two, Tobias definitely found a way to not only alter shots, but get it done on the offensive end as well, to kind of add to the pot that is Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. But I definitely think that in a world where everybody's looking at, or I won't say everybody, many people are finding a way to still believe that Nikola Jokic is the league's MVP. Joel Embiid punctuated why he is the MVP of this season. And I think that when you look at his ability to do so many different things, whether it's getting his shots off the basketball or dribbling off the right side or hitting 3-point shots, whether it's playmaking, he is the real deal. And I think Tyrese Maxey is that to the pot. There's a reason why, as much as the Brooklyn Nets may have wanted him at the trade deadline and that Harden-Simmons deal, he has proven why he's been valuable to the 76ers team. And I definitely do think that even without Scotty Barnes on the Raptors roster, I do still think that ultimately Philly is where they're supposed to be in round one. And we take game three and see what happens. So, yeah, I'm pleased with Philly's play so far.
Yeah, not to mention, you just talked about this too. Tyrese Maxey, this guy is gel as a big X factor for this Philadelphia 76ers team. Do you think that this is the right season for Joel Embiid to get a championship ring with the Philadelphia 76ers when you have James Harden on the roster?
I think that we're a championship team or a competitive championship team prior to the trade. I think that adding Harden to the pot definitely gives them a better chance. But I'll add this. To be the champs, you got to beat the champs. The Bucks are still the champs in the Eastern Conference and the NBA overall. I still think when you look at Miami, they were a first place team in the regular season, and Brooklyn, a competitive 7-seeded team, not a traditional 7-seeded team, but they have championship aspirations. And then, you look at other teams like, the Celtics who have miraculously found their way to second place. So, I mean, I think the Eastern Conference is very competitive. Contrary to popular belief, I think the East has always been competitive. I just think people pick and choose when they want to make it a Western Conference agenda. But when I look at the NBA's Eastern Conference, I think the Sixers are definitely in the conversation, as the Nets, as the Bucks. And here we are.
Exactly. And for the past few years, I've been hearing people say the Eastern Conference is weak. The Eastern Conference is trash. Look at how it's gelled right now. Like you talked about the teams that are really putting it together. I mean, you got the Chicago Bulls, even though they are down 1-0, they gave the Milwaukee Bucks all they can handle in that game one. And do you see the Chicago Bulls at the very least last until the 5th or 6th game with the Milwaukee Bucks?
I always felt that as much as people paid attention to 2 and 7 with the Nets and the Celtics, I actually feel like the Bulls Bucks is a competitive series. Yeah, I can see 5 or 6 because I think when you look at this matchup, the thing that surprised some people in my mind is from a game plan standard is Brook Lopez's emergence in game one. He looked like a healthy Brook Lopez. He looked like a quicker, faster Zydrunas Ilgauskas, if you will, just being able to hit that 16-footer, getting to the cup, driving to the basket, just having his way with Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls. But I also think that there are some other factors. One, I think the last minute and 30, the Bulls had a chance to kind of find their way back in a comeback type situation. I question some of Zach LaVine's shot selection towards the end. Kobe White definitely spelled them towards the end, but he couldn't do it by himself. I definitely think there are some adjustments that are going to have to be made. I'd like to see 5 or 6 games. I know that people have, left the Bulls for dead. I'm not ready to do that just yet, but boy, do I wish that they had a healthy Lonzo Ball who could help them both defensively and from beyond the arc in this series.
Yeah. And you know what? The Chicago Bulls, they were the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, but they regressed a lot. But what caused the Chicago Bulls regression from the month of January up until the end of the season where they finished number 6?
Yeah, definitely. I think towards the end of the season, they definitely faltered a bit. And I spoke to Zach LaVine towards the end of the season just about the Bulls' focus. And, he believed that they needed to stay together and just really ride this thing out. And I think they've never been in this situation. I mean, we've gone from, Boyle being the head coach and being this young team that won like 25, 26 games. People questioning, LaVine's future with this team. Now he's in the contract season. He signed a lucrative deal with New Balance. And I think now he's in a situation where, LaVine is the leader of this team and he's gotten help. But I kind of look at this Bulls team similar to like the Wizards last offseason where, they have Bradley Beal, and then they were able to, bring in Dinwiddie and bring in Kyle Kuzma, and then they were able to flip Dinwiddie to get Kristaps Porzingis, and they're kind of a team that has an upside, going into next season. I look at the Bulls in a similar vein, except the Wizards didn't go to the playoffs. The Bulls did, and the Bulls were a higher seed at some point during the season. They were as high as 1, 2, 3. The Wizards were at some point. They kind of faltered for a myriad of reasons. But, when you look at this Bulls team, the thing that I think they're missing, one is a healthy Lonzo Ball. 2, I think they're missing a secondary 2-3 man that can give LaVine some solid minutes. Like you kind of need like a Kyle Kuzma type player to give LaVine some help. I think some people, I know on the internet, a popular phrase is, how much help do you need? Like, yeah, I hear you, but I think when you look at LaVine and you look at his knee, that carrying all of those minutes and carrying that workload for so long, it's great to have help. But I think they're still missing a couple valuable pieces to that roster. I do think Alex Caruso was a steal for the Bulls this offseason. Shame on the Lakers for not finding a way to pay that man, because he's definitely, providing a huge lift for the Bulls, a lift higher than a Brazilian butt lift for the Chicago Bulls in this situation. So, yeah.
You want to get on the conversation, Ryan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon is saying a lot of things that are so astute. The East is really good. The top 4, the top 5 in the East, how it pans out is really good. I don't, when we look at Chicago's, like, I guess, regression during the season, we got to look at it. And sometimes when you start off in the season, they had a lot of new pieces together and a lot of really good new pieces together. So they just came out in the season kind of like a buzzsaw. We always talk about being a buzzsaw. They just came out and they were really bludgeoning a lot of teams with their talent. As the season goes on with injuries, attrition, gelling, certain things happen here, and the schedule pans out. You start playing more tougher teams. That's when, the numbers always balance out. The Warriors were really hot one time during the season, right? And then they had a little decline. Draymond got hurt. Steph got hurt. Little things happened. Clay coming back. What they didn't get Wiseman at all. So, I think just, with 82 games, sometimes you're going to look really good and sometimes you're going to look really bad. And, but the key point, we talked about, how one player can make another player look better. Like with Harden on the Sixers, it's so crazy how they got 2 guys that can score 30 points with Embiid and Harden. Now, the fact that Harden is there now kind of makes a lot of other guys get open shots become better. Like Danny Green has more open looks now because James Harden can create two players to come to him or get, you know what I'm saying, that Tobias don't got to have so much pressure on him now. Now he could just play. You know what I mean? Tybo is a good player. We already talked about the emergence of Tyrese Maxey. Now all those pieces are just fitting. So it is, you know, the Eastern Conference with the Bucks, the champions, Sixers, you know, Chi-Town is a good fight. They're probably in a tough series. They're probably not going to get out with the Bucks. But even who's the other top team that we're forgetting about? And Brooklyn and the Celtics. Yeah, Miami can go all the way in the Eastern Conference with what they got and how they play and their culture and how they play defensively, and you know how Jimmy Butler can definitely get you a bucket. Bam can get you a bucket. You know Tyler Hero is a very good spark plug for that team off the bench. They just all play together. So the Boston and Brooklyn, that's an interesting series. You know, those are two teams that won't have aspirations to go to the finals, but one of them got to go home in the series. That's going to affect the Eastern Conference big time. If Brooklyn advances, you know, regardless of any situation, nobody probably wouldn't want to play them on a certain day. And if Boston advances, I don't think anybody really wants to play them on a certain day either, because they're really good from top to bottom. So the East is a fight right now.
Exactly. Almost anybody can come out of the Eastern Conference and win the championship. And you know what? There were reports earlier today that Ben Simmons has been cleared for contact practice and is in doing 404. He might be back as early as Game 3. And Brandon, you covered not just the Brooklyn Nets, but a lot of the teams. And I'm sure you've been on top of the Ben Simmons situation. But if you was coaching the Brooklyn Nets, would you bring Ben Simmons back at any point in this postseason, and why?
Yes, as soon as he's able to do so. If you paid attention to my reporting, he's been pretty active since last month, and just finding a comfort level for both his back as well as his just ability to gel with this team. I mean, this Nets team is definitely a formidable duo. And what I think about this team is very interesting and very rewarding is the fact that he's only 25 years old. And it's definitely a situation where I like him because he's the playmaker that Brooklyn needs and allows Kyrie to get off the ball some. When you look at James Harden last year, one of the reasons why Kyrie, who shifted to a two-guard by position within that system, but a natural point guard or natural lead guard, is it was able to free him up to get open shots and also to still wreak havoc and just play the way he does. He's a special player. And I feel like when you miss a Harden or a Ben Simmons in that system, you know, it's still a situation where he can adjust. But I think having a lead guard like a Harden or like a Simmons, it makes him better because that lead guard commands a double team. I mean, I think it's a luxury to have a Ben Simmons on that team. But at the same time, Kyrie and Kevin Durant are still going to flow the way that they need to. But when I look at Ben Simmons and his acumen for this team, the thing that stands out to me is one, you get a playmaker in that's like James Harden, who takes less jumpers. And two, he's a better defender than James Harden. And he's able to lock your favorite opposing team's best perimeter or swingman. And so the fact that he's able to kind of blend in with this team, obviously you're going to see him check the Jason Tatums and the Jaylen Browns of the world. But ultimately he does so much more. I think it's a good problem to have, a 6'11" point guard that can average about 1.7 steals, I think is his career average. Averages about 15 a game and 7.2 and about 8 to 9 assists per game. I mean, I think that in today's NBA, for many people who criticize him, I think is in the playmaking or I think what you're going to see with him is the shift in Brooklyn that it was for LeBron in year 2 with the Miami Heat, moving off the elbow, moving off the ball, but also has the ability to still be that point forward, that Scottie Pippen type player when you need him as well. I think there's so many different avenues where you can utilize him. So in answer to your question, yes, as soon as he's ready, willing, and able, they should get him back. But ultimately, I think he'd be a benefit. He'd be an asset, not a liability to this team.
Brandon,
Exactly.
one quick question. One quick question too, Rafi. Brandon, here goes my question. And me and Rafiq have talked about Ben Simmons all the time. We think Ben Simmons is a stud. Ben Simmons just can't shoot a three-point and can't shoot a jump shot. Great. There's a lot of people that really can't shoot a three and can't shoot a jump shot. But he can do a lot of other great things on the basketball court. We all agree, right?
Yes, we all agree. And I'm sure that your boy Kendrick Perkins will agree too, because I remember watching them with Stephen A. Smith. Well, you've had conversations with Kendrick Perkins, so you can attest on this. This guy, he's one of those guys, he's one of those analysts that pretty much says that Ben Simmons can't shoot. Okay, fine, he can pass. And as you mentioned, he has good versatility on the court. So
so here's my thing. Here's my question though. We all know that Ben Simmons can play and can everything you definitely said defensively can help Brooklyn and so on and so forth. And the second he's eligible and ready to play, yes, play him out there. But here goes my question. If you play him, do you start him? And if you play him, do you feel comfortable with him right off top? Not playing. I mean, I know they Rex on the side. I know they have those other pieces. Now you're going back into the NBA game against live competition, the guys that are going at it all the time, whether guys are injured or bumped and bruises. Because the guys you're talking about, the Tatums, those guys, he could definitely do that when he's playing his A game to lock them down. But now you catching them in mid-season. Do you feel comfortable starting him now in the front with?
No, because you mess up the rotation. I like Bruce Brown.
So you come off the bench with him and use him as a tool.
Mm-hmm. Look at the success. Look at the success Steph Curry's having right now, coming off the bench in Golden State.
That's going to change soon, though. We do know that. Like, I mean, he's hurt. He's coming back off the injury. You know,
but still scored 34 points off the bench last night.
Yeah.
In comparison to Jordan Poole's 29. So at the end of the day, your imprint on the game is your imprint on the game.
100%.
So if you insert Ben Simmons in 10 to 15 minutes a game, and he gradually improves, like we're not asking him to score 30 points a game. You just ask him to come out there and contribute. I think that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you get the ability to play on the court and talk your nonsense, then you're pretty much good. I mean, Stephen A. Smith went on the air talking about how Ben Simmons could break it back. There's more ways to break it back besides playing a basketball game, Stephen A. Let's be honest. Let's really be honest. But to touch upon the Brooklyn Nets a little bit more, earlier today, Kyrie Irving got fined like $50,000. It's in for some using gestures in the middle of a basketball game. Brandon, thoughts?
Drop in the bucket. He'll be all right. He'll be all right.
Yeah.
We don't gotta go to that far. We know what was said. $50,000 ain't $5, but Kyrie's there's money somewhere. He'll pay for it. We know what he said. It is what it is. He pays his fine. Game 2, he got to guard somebody and score 50 again.
Yeah, but I mean, I know we just talked about all the other playoff teams, but Minnesota playing literally tonight, game 2 against the Memphis Grizzlies. Do you see the Minnesota Timberwolves upsetting the Memphis Grizzlies in this playoff series, Brendan?
It could happen. They've been busy all year. You look at just I've said this on a multitude of shows. I feel like when you look at Patrick Beverley's imprint on this team, to me, he is what to the Timberwolves this year is what many people would have thought Jimmy Butler's imprint would have been on a young Timberwolves team. But thankfully, he found greener pastures as a leader on the Miami Heat team. I think one of the criticisms that has often been there is that, they're soft. And I think that that definitely him being on this team has definitely eliminated that label to a degree. But I also think that Anthony Edwards has just been phenomenal this season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's giving Karl Anthony Towns room to kind of just be playing his game, like
just dominate.
And I also think that D'Angelo Russell is just in a place where he can shine. So I think they're in a good situation. I like the Timberwolves. I think we talked about the Memphis Grizzlies all year, and I think that the Grizzlies are definitely a talented team. They've done it without Ja Morant. They've done it without at points without Jaren Jackson Jr. But ultimately, I think they lock down and they get into a groove and they take care of business. So I think it can go either way, but I definitely think that they have a chance. And I think it's a wide open ball game, and I'm excited to see what happens this evening.
Yeah, very exciting. And there's always excitement when it comes to watching the NBA playoffs. So this leads me to my final question when talking about the NBA playoffs. What is your prediction? Like, which two teams, one from the East and one from the West, you want to see duke it out by the time we get to the month of June?
I think that's a very, very, very preliminary loaded question. But what I will tell you is in the West, I do like the Phoenix Suns a lot. I like their game. I like the way that they've conducted themselves all season, even when Chris Paul was out and he was able to rest and get back. I like Devin Booker. I think that Michael Bridges defensively is a good player. I also like some of the other pieces that are on that team. You look at JaVale McGee and his presence on that team. You like the fact that DeAndre Ayton has a contract to play for. I really do think Monty Williams is the league's coach of the year. I hope to see him get it this season because he deserved it last year. And then when you look at the Eastern Conference side, I know it's very wide open. Selfishly, I'd like to see the Nets go, but the 76ers are still it's not that far on I-95 either. And you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, they're still the champs and they're shining. So I think the East is wide open. I do like the Phoenix Suns. I do like the way the Warriors are playing. But if I had to pick today, yeah, probably I'd like to see Nets Suns.
Yeah, I would like to see the Nets and Suns go ahead too. I mean, well, if you ask me, I prefer the Brooklyn Nets and the Memphis Grizzlies because that would be much interesting the NBA final series. But let's get through the 2 and 17 matchup with both those teams I just mentioned in both conferences, and then maybe we'll get a clearer picture. I mean, well, Ryan, do you agree with that prediction, or do you have a much different NBA finals predictions?
No, I have, everything you asked me, I have no clear cut because I think the East is so there's a lot of things that what happens between Brooklyn and the Celtics is so key towards the rest of the Eastern Conference. That one series right there, because there's going to be one boxer that knocks another big boxer out the race, whether it be Brooklyn, who can get to the NBA Finals and have NBA Finals aspirations, and the same with the Celtics. The Celtics have played really good basketball in the second half of the season going into the playoffs as well. We know how big time Tatum is. We know how Jaylen Brown is. Marcus Smart, those guys, they play the right way together. So they're a fighter in it. Miami is really good. You know how they play on the defensive end. You know how Jimmy Butler and those guys and how they work as a unit. How can we forget about the champs? Well, Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, too, brings to the Milwaukee Bucks is key because they were lacking a little physicality and toughness. Now those guys brought that back because they lost PJ Tucker. They lost one other person from last season, but so, I mean, and when Giannis is playing like that, right? I mean, right, and that's scary on any given night. So with them on those teams on the top, the East can go any way with those top 4 teams. Phoenix probably does look like that clear-cut best in the West. I mean, how can you ever, discount what Golden State is doing? Mm-hmm. Golden State could definitely be the team they probably play in the conference finals. But other fighters too. I like to see what Minnesota's doing because, like you said, that's changing the culture down there. What Beverly's bringing down there with the toughness and attitude to win. Anthony Edwards is a big time stud. We're watching a star amongst our eyes, at least star basketball game and talent on the court. Karl Anthony Towns has more floor on room on the floor to make his plays, do his numbers. The West is good, but Phoenix probably looks like the clear cut. Probably Phoenix and the Warriors in the conference finals, I guess we say, and we see where it goes from there.
Yeah, that's pretty much a very interesting point. Now, on to the last topic for this episode. Brandon Scoop Robinson, I want to say congratulations on you and my other special guests that I've had in numerous episodes. Kelsey Nicole Nelson put together an NBA-focused show last night tonight. I mean, I've actually watched your episode of your guys' show. You guys do a phenomenal job putting it together. I mean, I want to get a little bit of a background on how that all came about between you and Kelsey.
Well, I definitely think it's pretty cool to have Kelsey join the fold with Bally because she's definitely doing good work in the Washington, D.C. area. And she's definitely someone who's on the rise. And, it's good to see people who look like you get opportunities, but also not just because they look like you, but also because they're actually talented. And they definitely are more than qualified to fill that position. So I've known Kelsey probably since the beginning of the height of the pandemic. And, we've encouraged each other from afar and, we respect each other's work. And here we are now. I've been at Bally for a year and some change, and an opportunity to create new programming became available. And, there's often a meme that I see on social media a lot. People are able to say your name in rooms that you haven't even walked in yet. And I'm thankful that I was able to vouch for somebody that I respect. So, we started the show a day ago and a couple of days ago, and it's been something that has been, in production and planning for some time, and it's been executed. You can catch it Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time through Twitter, and then the replay is at ballysports.com. Bally airs about either 16 or 19 of the 30 teams in the NBA, so they're definitely a force to be reckoned with, and glad to partner with and co-labor with Kelsey in this endeavor.
Yeah, that's a very respectful way of putting it. I mean, Kelsey is just so phenomenal, and I was always glad to have her on the show. She's done an amazing job of doing some work for the Washington. Well, now they're called the Washington Commanders, but
Yikes.
Yeah. All right, that concludes this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. Thank you for stopping by, Brand Scooby Robinson, and my condolences for the loss of family. I love the work you do for Bally Sports and Scoop Resources. And we look forward to talking some NBA playoffs as we go down the road of the season.
My brother, thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Ain't no problem.
Yes, sir.
And to all the ballers out there, get your head in the game and enjoy the NBA playoffs.